Okay, so today's job will involve trying to fit the axle pump. So we've got the eccentric that I've already made, and here's the eccentric sheave and the eccentric that's already done. And we have a pump which Les has given us, and the pump needs to somehow mount on this stretcher. So this is stretcher for the Modelworks pump, which we don't have. So I think the first thing to do is to put the put this wheel set into the chassis. Now, unfortunately, I have painted the axle box, not axle boxes, but these parts. Name I've forgotten. So I need to probably just remove some of the paint there, because I think it would be quite stiff otherwise. So I'll just get the file on that for a second, and we'll take it from there. So that took a little bit more effort than I was expecting. The right hand side is still a little bit tight, but we've got lots of free movement on the left. But, that's just the wheels scraping slightly on the axle boxes. But we've got a nice, we've got it in position anyway, so that's good. So the next thing is to put the put this on eccentric strap with some shims in it, so it's nice and loose, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so here I'm cutting up shim stock with tin snips. I'm squeezing them in and then using a hammer just to punch a hole through where the bolts go. Now I'm installing the eccentric strap with the shims in place. It's reasonably loose. Perhaps could probably do with a couple more shims, so I'll add those later on. Okay, so I think I've got something worked out here. If I keep a operating arm something like similar length, what I can do is if I make a bracket that screws into these holes, so I've got 4 mounting holes there, and thread it so that the body I can actually just screw the main body into it. So I'll probably need probably Loctite would probably hold it, actually, thinking about it. But that does leave the difficulty that I can't really get any tools onto the gland. So I think I'll probably have to make the gland a bit deeper so that it extends this side, so I can actually get some spanner flats on it. I'm going to see if I can figure out the these mounting holes, how big they are. I'll see if I can figure out what this thread is, and we'll take it from there. But I think it will work. I say the body does clear the frame, so I can screw the body into a bracket. So that's an M3 bolt that goes through quite nicely. Yeah, it's just the relationship between these screws, actually. So if I put 2 screws in, I can just measure the centres, can't I? So we'll do that, and I'll bring you back. As you see later, this wasn't actually that accurate. I think I should have used 3mm rod instead of the bolts, which were a little bit loose in the holes. So I've measured up the adapter plate I need. Some fairly weird dimensions between centres, but perhaps they make more sense in imperial. I've just roughly guessed on the outside dimensions. Quite luckily, the this thread is 5/8 26, and I just happen to have a 5/8 26 tap, so that's really nice. So what I'll do now is try and find a bit of brass or something nice to make a bracket out of. So just turning and facing the brass bar and centre drilling it, and then we'll start to bore out the main hole. So I was just investigating what size drill I need for tapping 5/8 by 26, and it's 14.7mm, which, funnily enough, I don't have. I have got a 14.5 though, so I shall expand the hole with that, and we'll just have to take that last 0.2mm off with a boring bar. So we'll carry on with that. The drilled hole turned out to be about 14.2, so I'm using my internal micrometer to measure that. So we come in with the boring bar, I zero the DRO, and then we just slowly creep up on the 14.7. It's not that critical actually, but I've got quite into using my the internal micrometers now, so I'm quite enjoying that. And then we're in with the taper tap. I'm using the squirty bulb just to clear all the swarf out, so we get a nice clean thread. And it's quite a big tap actually, 5/8, and final check. And then we go in and part it off. So I actually part off at 6mm and then 5mm to leave quite a big slot, but I don't go all the way through, and you'll see the reason for that in a second. So we've used the centering indicator to get it as central as we possibly can. So quite pleased with that. So now we've got the centre of this, we can then use coordinates then to go out and drill the 4 holes that we require. I've cut through as deeply as I can with the parting blade. What I'm hoping is that that's in far enough to allow the holes to go through and make tapping a bit easier. Okay, so I'm coordinate centre drilling the 4 holes. I've got a DRO set up on the mill, and then I'm drilling the tapping size for M3, which I think is 2.5, don't quote me. And then finally we're going in with the M3 tap. So I just start it off under power, and then then finish off by hand. And so I'm using taper middle and finishing taps for this. There was a slight pause there as I changed the tap set I was using. The bottoming tap I realised was bent, so it's making a bit of a mess of the threads. So luckily I got a set of radio spares, branded ones, which are quite nice quality. So I used those for the rest of the holes, and it came out quite nicely. Much better than the bent tap. Final job is back to the lathe to finish parting off at 5mm. So this is the adapter plate in position. Unfortunately, I didn't quite measure the holes correctly, so this is as close as it will get at the moment. I decided to remove the stretcher after a bit of thought. The reason for doing that is that I already had the mill set up, so I could use the coordinate milling and then just go in with some small milling cutters. The other thing that I could then do was also counter bore, so that the heads of the hex bolts would be lie flush, which then makes adjusting the glandnut a lot easier. So that's the way I went. So I don't show removing the stretcher, but it's just a few countersunk bolts on each side. And yeah, now we'll go over to the mill and we'll carry on adjusting these holes. I've sort of lined it up with this edge, so it's roughly in line with the mill axis. I've roughly centred the spindle using an edge finder, and now we're going to use the centering indicator to get an exact centre, and from that centre we can then basically drill these holes the same as we made in the mounting plate, and then I can then counterbore with an end mill. Okay. So the object here is just to adjust the X and Y axis until the needle moves the smallest amount. So for each hole I'm starting off with a 3mm FC3 cutter and just plunge cutting it. After that I follow up with a 5mm to provide the counterbore, and then I finish the counterbore off with a 5.5mm drill. And then finally I come back in with the 3mm just so I can plunge it a bit further down, because the tapered part of the cutter didn't allow the full depth through initially. But I basically do that on all 4 holes, and then we have holes in the right place with a nice counterbore. I do use the bolt head just to test each counterbore as well. So. Okay, so the counterbores have worked really nicely now, so we've got good access to this locking nut, gland nut rather. Off camera I have extended the thread there, so we've now got room to put a lock nut in. I was just going to use Loctite, but actually I think because the thread is quite loose, I think having a lock nut there would make a better job of it, really. Okay, so I've made a lock nut off camera. I don't think it was really worth videoing it. It's basically the same technique we use to thread this adapter plate. I've shortened the bolts as well, so I think you'll agree that's quite a neat solution. I'm really pleased with that. So I'll need to get that get the stretcher reattached to the chassis and pop it back in there. And then we can see if you might need to just fine tune the position, forward and rear, to get the best stroke from the ram. And then we also need to attach that as well. So, but yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I'm pretty pleased with the results. I hope you enjoyed that and maybe learned something. Like, share, subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm always interested to hear your comments, and I always respond, even to the rude ones. But okay, yeah, so I'll see you in the next one.